Hello. This is Dr. Lueth. It is 8:45 a.m. Eastern New York Time, USA, and it is October 5th, 2025. So there's a lot of things I could talk about, but sometimes I just don't waste my breath on certain things because it'll go away. Yeah, this too shall pass. But this is why I've said to anyone who bothers to listen to me that I don't discuss rapture because there's no need to discuss it. And no one knows. Not angels, not humans, nobody. Right? Nobody. Right? That's what I'm getting at. And right, but essentially, not even the big key, the big G knows, because certain things, right, depend on others just completing certain steps. Okay, but please, for your own sakes, don't keep listening to social media or even clergy or anyone else who is going to try and tell you that, oh, on September 23rd, right? Because then they'll be like, oh, I miscalculated. It's October 5th. And you know what I'm trying to say. Okay? You don't have to do anything. I mean, it could happen a lot of different ways. There's been, actors, writers, directors. Some of it's not Hollywood either. It's just that, have their interpretations, okay? But those are interpretations, and quite literally, it happens when it happens. So, if you love Jesus and you believe in God, as in Scripture, you should be asking more, is there something we can do to, right, was there something we did or did not do to, right, help us along? Okay, I mean, sometimes it's not what you think it is, but I am clergy and I don't talk about rapture ever. And I certainly do not encourage people to listen to others online and to say definitively it's going to happen. Yes, a lot. It happens almost every year. Somebody's going to be like, "Oh, it happens, this time and or this time," and most of the time it's at the end of the year, close to a right solstice, and it's got nothing to do with either the equinox or the solstice. All right, so don't think about it that way anymore. Okay, it could happen like April 1st. Right? You see what I'm saying? Like at 2:45 a.m. It doesn't. You don't need to think about it. Matthew, and yes, Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, those are what's known as the four Gospels. And definitely in Matthew and Mark and Luke, for sure, mentions, don't worry about tomorrow, people. I mean, you can prepare and plan, like, just, I'm not saying that. I'm just saying, it's just you have to get through your day first before you can even, go through tomorrow. So yes, today has its own blah blah blah. And he does know what we need. So no, I don't need to beg. Yeah, this is what I'm saying is, like, yeah, I was being used incorrectly, like a medium, and I'm not that, and that is now backfiring on those who were 100% sure they knew better. So trying to enlighten me with something that already happened and got cleaned up, I don't need to repeat these things. Which is why, yeah, I started on my online sort of blog, diary, whatever, my thoughts sometimes, at singingfromthecrease.wordpress.com. I would put a post for all occasions, and so I adjust certain things, and that's not changing. None of that's changed. None of it has. But I do have the qualifications to be an educator. And what I am going to say again, for those who are homeschooling, make sure you're getting music education in there. Right. I mean, start, kindergarten, pre-K if you can, whatever, however you guys, so, like I went to a Montessori, so it's not like pre-K. It's sort of like that, and then kindergarten, but different. It's private. Right. So I've been in private school, public school. Yeah. And I haven't been to a solely air quote religious based. Yeah, it's not Catholic school or right. But I, I've seen the difference between the two, and I think public schools maybe should learn from private schools the order in which kids learn things. Okay, but homeschoolers, yes, this can also be used for that. Human behavior, after years and years and years of just being around people of so many different kinds, because I've been out of the country and I've been in country, and my parents from right different. Like, even though I'm Gen X, I was not raised by baby boomers. Okay, my parents adopted late. I'm adopted, and later in life, so they're two generations ahead of me. So I learned from older people with different standards and values, and I understand these things. I understood why sometimes my parents would, be like frown on certain things sometimes, because um certain amount of authenticity in people. Right, we're gonna reverse that one. That one is right, reversible. Uh some are trying to say certain things are and they're not. That's just not true. And I know I'm in the United States of America, so no matter what I believe or don't believe or whatever, okay, we're meant to understand that we're not really supposed to be forcing anybody certain beliefs or not. Right? So regardless, human behavior, right? Perception is definitely something that you do have to consider. One of my favorite courses in getting a bachelor's, and that's Bachelor of Science. Okay, in psychology, I wasn't really going for clinical, but I did take some courses for some clinical psychologists, just get that kind of perspective and understand. But that's not, it was more biochemical, and how certain things behave in a certain, you know, person, and what parts of the brain, and so on and so forth, and neurochemicals and how they react. So, perception is can vary widely through all of human society, no matter where you are, right? And so some, you know, may have something going on that's physical in their brain or in their eyes, where they perceive differently from the majority, or where they're not exposed to certain things or haven't learned certain things, or are used to certain cultural things, so on and so forth. So things can be seen differently, but that doesn't mean that there isn't a singular truth, right? So, right, for example, I'm a resident in a program that deals with people who have autism, schizophrenia, major depression. Some are bipolar, right? But some also have physical things going on. And the assistant program manager was doing their monthly meeting for the clients, and mentioned that some clients must be hoarding or using too much of the dishwasher, dish liquid, Ajax. Wash dishes in the sink. So they're tracking everything and so on and so forth. And they can't imagine that, you know, 30 bottles could disappear that quickly. So your houses are going to be checked, make sure clients aren't hoarding or using too much or blah, blah, blah. So in their minds, it's clients doing those things. However, the reality is, if they bothered to check the company vehicles that the staff, case managers, and other staff use on a daily basis, they would find out that there's at least 4 whole bottles in one of the staff's vehicle. And, okay, there's also a couple bottles right, in a place that isn't normal for where they store, because someone new didn't know where to put them. So that's all staff. But in their minds, it's the clients hoarding or using too much. And that was not the truth. It's not the truth. What they think, what they believe, what they understand is not the truth. And that is not the actual reality. The actual reality is, well, no, you guys stop hoarding in the back of the truck, in right, the place where it's not normally put, by new staff member who wasn't really sure where to put them. So that accounts for, right, that. You understand what I'm saying? Do you understand what I'm saying? So what you believe and what you think and what you put on other people may be completely, absolutely, 100% not the true and real situation. Do you understand? So some of these clients are not being treated properly at all. And they need to be diagnosed properly. And I am asking on their behalf that some people who actually know what they're talking about and who have actual time, whether you have a family member or you've spent your life with autistics, you learning, or you spent your life around schizophrenics, and you understand. We need actual real people who are actually really qualified, because they're not doing a lick of good over here, and their thoughts and perceptions are incorrect and wrong. So I keep asking on their behalf. I mean, those who know better, those who understand exactly what I am saying. Okay, check yourselves before you wreck yourselves, which is a good song. Right, yeah, I mean, you gotta know yourself really well, which is why I tell people one of the best things you can do for little children, okay, no matter what, is help them understand who they are. Okay, don't push yourselves. All right, they might have come biologically from you, but they may not be like you in certain ways, and most often that is the case. And they get some attributes right, and they also pick up learning and other kind of things. Yes, behavioral things, but that is the best thing for children of every variety on human variety on planet Earth. Spend time helping them understand themselves really well. Okay? And there are people who are afraid to be introspective, which is looking inward, which is like, okay, well, take a good long look at yourself and some of the things you do and how you react and all these other kind of things. So it's not too late for adults to do that. Okay? Because it can help you as adults as well. It can help you communicate a little better in whatever ways you communicate. It can help you understand other people's perspectives a little easier. It can help you understand where to set boundaries. Like, no, I don't have to tolerate that. Right? But in the United States, I can't stress this enough. There are, in other countries, I get there's prime ministers and there's presidents and other. But in the United States, yes, we do have a separation of church and state. So that's just two perspectives. And people might in the US understand church as something different from some other people. All right. But it is one of the reasons why government sometimes is hands off because they don't want to impede on your right to freedom of air quote religion. And if that religion is your atheist, whatever. So we don't handle things the same way that they do in Great Britain or Canada or Australia or some of the, you understand? Yes. Okay. So, you know, getting advice from those who are from other countries when it comes to just this situation, well, no, we are actually kind of like tuning you out because the United States does have a separation of church and state, and it doesn't mean that it's church versus state. Okay, that's not what it means. You understand? But in your work and professional life, right, there are certain things. Now some businesses will be like, okay, well, you can go pray during these times of day, whatever. Just come in half hour earlier and stay half hour later, whatever. All right. But I've been around so many different people in my life that there are certain commonalities in human behavior that just are always there. And that would include small little tribes who have very little contact with what they might consider the outside world. So there are certain things that are fundamentally human behavior. But like I said, I gave that example. The staff at Upper Bay are wrong about all this hoarding of the Ajax. I'm like, no, you guys are hoarding the Ajax staff. This is why I'm asking for people who are much more well versed in certain things, have much higher understanding of clinical psychology, have much higher understanding of those with certain types of, they call them illnesses, brain patterns, autistic adults, schizophrenics, manic depressives, other types. You understand? Because that's just false. They have a false understanding, and they keep shoving it onto the clients. And these clients are not able to speak up for themselves. So I am. So, like I said, if you're a little older and you're good, you paid off school loans, you don't right, and you can afford to get paid less because it's a more poor county, right, and what they're able, right, and you want to sort of like retire out of the city, or you have two people working and one person is okay to take a lower salary, whatever the case may be. I mean, some people are okay with living on less. This is just true, right? Not everybody who does a lot of crap is ambitious. Right? So here at Upper Bay, I'm just going to keep asking and keep praying. I'm going to keep saying, okay, you want to do an internship and more updated version of human psychology than people who haven't updated their skills or any other kind of thing here. Please consider Upper Bay counseling, and not Upper Bay. That there's two Upper Bays, and I'm talking about Upper Bay Counseling and Support Services. They don't have enough staff. There should be at least 2 full-time staff, right, extra, and a couple more PRNs, which means right, like people who can come, like if somebody calls out or they, somebody is on emergency leave or something, and I'm getting that. So you understand the example now. Staff just truly thinks and believes that the reality is the clients are hoarding dish liquid or using too much, and that is not the truth, nor is it the reality. This is why these clients need help from those who understand things much, much, much better. Okay? Now, see if I can understand that. I guarantee you there's tons of clients who don't. They don't catch details like I do. They don't understand human psychology. I mean, I'm studied in it, just regular, everyday, just living. But also, right, I mean, college degrees and other sorts of things. And I, check every so often, see like what updates were made with the DSM or so on and so forth. And actually, the DSM-5, I had some, there were some perspectives that didn't seem to be included in the DSM-5. So I contacted a few people to say, I left some comments because, when it was being right before it was published, like maybe the year before or something, right? The public comments, if you know where to look online, you can make comments, you can read some of the things that they're thinking about, and you can, put different perspectives. I mean, you're allowed to communicate to the APA and other who put this together, which is another reason why it becomes like the DSM-5R, which is it's 5 but it's revised, and usually those revisions come from people who do provide different perspectives or communicate certain things to say, okay, maybe it's not always this. There are exceptions in human behavior that maybe hadn't been considered. So that's kind of how revisions will happen. So, there was a DSM-4 when I was studying psychology, way back when in community college and university. We were using the three, and then at some point, I took a little time off school to concentrate on, sort of getting myself a break from concentrated study and also looking after my parents and spending more time with my family and, getting sitting behind desks and being trapped inside. I needed to get outside. I need to get outside. Sometimes I can't always, right. I can't like have a full time, desk job, no window. I would suck at it at a certain point. Right. So I know these things. Also, you know, trying to micromanage me just causes issue for me and for the manager. So if I'm in job interviews or if I'm, talking about work or something, uh, I always mention that. So it's like, don't micromanaging me is actually not helpful at all. And it can be counterproductive and it can be very, very difficult for me. And then my performance drops significantly, but also frustration and understanding of the manager, right? So, I mean, I know this ahead of time, okay? I already know these things about myself. So, everybody, take a little time to get to know your own self. You might see some ugly in there, okay? Because you might be thinking you're a decent person, but then, right? I'm not trying to say you're not. But everybody on planet Earth has been wrong about something. Everybody, including me, including the who you guys all think are brilliant, or who you guys think are all, you know, wisdom personified. Yes, every single one of us has been wrong about something, or someone, or whatever. It's just true, and everyone is told a quote unquote lie. Okay, but there is a difference, a very, very, very sharp distinction between being purposefully deceitful and saying something that is not true. Right? So the staff at Upper Bay Counseling and Support Services who, told the clients, well, we're going to keep track of this and you guys are hoarding and some of you using too much and, there's no way. They were mistaken. They were not purposely being deceptive. And you see what I'm trying to say. They may have been deflecting a little, but quite frankly, right, it technically could be considered a lie in the technicality of it because it's not the truth and reality. Okay? But it's not purposefully deceptive. It might be a little deflective because they want to think they're doing such a good job and they're helping people. Unfortunately, that is not the case. And there are better, more qualified people who can help these people at Upper Bay Counseling and Support Services. And I just skip everybody and say, okay, policymakers, and those of you who give grants, and those of you looking for internships, and those of you who understand human behavior way better and have more experience, right? Upper Bay Counseling and Support Services needs more qualified people. They also need the Sunrise program and probably the day program too, but I'm talking about the Sunrise program. need at least 2 more full-time staff members. Because what they say on paper is not what actually happens in truth and reality. I would happily testify to that in any court of law or any political arena like the congressional committee, subcommittee, whatever. The APA, the AMA, state of Maryland legislators, Care is now Care Union Hospital. It used to be just Union, now it's Christian. Those who work for Care, helping the community understand better that we don't have really skilled nurses here. And the one that is still learning, and 90% of what she's told me and the way she perceives things is completely incorrect and wrong. So, not very helpful. That might change over time, but currently, not very helpful. Not very knowledgeable. There needs to be better understanding of what Upper Bay Counseling and Support Services does with at least the staff, the medical people around in Elkton, because we understand better communication. Okay, and the staff needs to start holding clients a little more accountable, but not in the same way that you would in a different setting. Because some of these people actually can control their activities and can become a little more patient, and they can learn. And you see, when it's not being, you understand that the clients, they will make clients sign stuff and blah, blah, blah. We don't do this, we don't do that anymore. But they aren't really reinforcing it. And that is the only way that these clients can actually start understanding a little more closely how to be more independent if they're moving toward independent living, or more able to communicate in group home setting, or I hate to use the word institutional because a lot of people, especially paranormalists, some of you need to stop. I mean, just own your room. You also need to be checked by psychologists. You should probably have a therapist who understands spiritual matters. There, at least in the state of Maryland, the one good thing that I have noticed is that there are people who are spiritual people who are qualified as psychologists, or I forget, CPLs. Yeah, some of them. You understand, right. And if they're grad students, they have a supervisor who will help them discern and understand certain things. But so technically speaking, in the state of Maryland, I am actually qualified based on the qualifications that the state of Maryland puts forth as a spiritual healer. Okay, so I'm not a licensed clinical social worker. You understand, but I do have the proper listening skills, and I do have the proper clinical skills to understand certain things better. And I have type of discernment that helps me see more clearly what is not. So those of you who claim that there is no reality, that is false. That is a false statement. I have lied in the general sense that, okay, I don't mean purposely deceptive. I mean, I repeated stuff I learned in school to people at some point, and then right later find out, oh, well, that's just some mythical old wives' tale that's never been reality. Which is why some of you don't have formal educations, and those of you who are homeschooling, and those of you just older, learning something new or listening to a different perspective, alcohol does not help you sleep. Do not give your children things that have alcohol in them, okay? Because you start to build a dependency in them. So, yes, my parents, like I said, I was not raised by boomers. I was raised by those, yes, one generation ahead. And yes, when I was younger, after dinner, at a certain rank, get this big old shot of Frangelica or Drambuie. Or, right, exactly, right. So we would fall asleep. Now, that's why my brother F.C. Lueth, who died at the age of 33, didn't stand a fucking chance. And how I got through all that without being a raging alcoholic or having all these addiction, right? Yeah, Jesus. I mean, I know, I have known. I didn't get through this all by myself. And there were other people who understood when I was younger. Okay, well, she's not like, you know, her brother that, right? She's not like that. I did pick up the smoking cigarettes. And that has been a struggle for me. I'm not going to lie. There are times when I've been able to quit and it seemed fairly easy, but I mean, I picked back up again. So, but every time I try and quit, I learn something about what works and what didn't work and what my motivations are and other kind of things. And they are legal. I mean, they're legal. It might not be the world's greatest habit, and I understand it's. I don't mind going out in the parking lot, okay, and smoking a cigarette. I understand people don't want to walk through a cloud of smoke right near a door. Yeah, I mean, I get this. If I need to go outside, I go outside, so on and so forth. All right. So yeah, I have actually ordered nicotine patches from from as my general practitioner to a primary provider for prescription, and yes, Medicaid will pay for that in the state of Maryland. Yes, insurance does pay for that, which is another thing. It's like people who actually run hospital units, doctors, psychologists, right? I've been told numerous times, oh, insurance doesn't cover it. I'm like, that is a falsehood, sir, ma'am. In the state of Maryland, Medicaid, which is also known as medical assistance, does cover nicotine patches. Okay? So, what I'm telling government and people who talk to government, anybody who sees this, you understand the reality is a lot of doctors and their nursing staff are not updated, they're not aware, and they're telling their patients and clients the wrong things. Now, if I were a licensed practicing psychiatrist, I would not take on a client who hadn't, at the very least, gotten some kind of brain scan, right? Like CT, cat, like something. I wouldn't, because you want to know if there's any kind of physical differences, if there's anything that could have happened, if there's any type of something that you can pick up at the very least, you understand? because I would not, I would insist upon it. I might not have the same number of clients or patients. I might be known as, I'm just being ridiculous, but it's for the good of me who's practicing and that person, because there are people here at Upper Bay Counseling and Support Services who definitely have some type of actual real brain damage. Right. Like maybe there's a portion of the brain that's reduced in function, or at some point, there may be some neurochemical that may not show up in some things, but it might be because there's, who knows, some kind of cell damage or some, right? Or, they didn't, like back when I was a kid, you get a concussion, they just pick you up and, okay, shake it off. You all right? You're dizzy. Oh, you sick? Okay, well, just be careful. They didn't understand concussions very well. So I know I've been concussed, but I know I don't have any lasting effects from that, which is I'm grateful for. But that is definitely why, when it comes to the National Hockey League, of course, I'm a little concerned. Like, I mean, that is definitely a place where concussions can happen, and they do spend a lot of time, working with things, and they did, and I believe it was like 2007 or 2008. I think it might have been 2007, where the league did, in fact, ask all. They, made it policy, and it was mandatory that all of the National Hockey League teams in whatever building they use as the home building have a quiet room meant specifically to check and write certain new stimulus, and write doctors, staff who know exactly what to look for, who know, okay, you're not going back in, no, right? Which is why adults, everybody, if someone, if you yourself take a hit near the head doing anything, okay, and it may not even have to be hard, depending. I mean, and you start to feel dizzy or nauseous, stop what you're doing immediately. That is a sign of concussion. Okay? If you have kids running around and it could have been rough and tumble, and they come in and say, I feel dizzy, like nauseous. Okay, great. Don't just tell them to rub dirt on it or shake it off. Okay? Have them stop doing that activity. Right? Keep an eye on them, and if you're not really sure, at the very least, see if you can get them to your general practitioner that day. And if you can't, try and go to. Yeah, I had some friends who used to call them doc in a box. Some know it as doc in a box, but like urgent care, like you know, more urgent, but not emergency room urgent. But if you really can't, and they don't really have anybody who knows that much, I mean, they can look some stuff up and help you, right? At urgent care, at the very least, somebody's looking, or can give you some kind of like, well, okay, we don't take care of that here, but right, you know, just immediately go over here and get a brain scan or whatever. I mean, they can at the very least get some on the medical record. But yeah, then yes, then it is at a certain point okay to go to the ER if you suspect concussion. Right. So I am grateful that over the years, I don't really have any, long lasting negative effects of that. But there are some who do. And like I said, when I was younger, so I'm 53. So when I was younger, yeah, I got beamed in the head with one of those kickballs, those big, the round red ones filled with air. And yeah, just everything's spinning. I'm all like, and poof, I hit the ground. And I don't know, I was in third grade or fourth or something. And so, they all just, are you okay? Are you okay? But I mean, and they propped me up and I felt a little better, but things were still spinning while restarted playing. And I'm like, okay, likely concussion. Cerebral fluid can, yeah, sorry, but that likely. And so it wasn't common that these things indicated much other than, geez, like you got a tough head, or like, oh, you got beans. Let me pick you up, dust you off. And it's not like that anymore. And coaches of any sport, any sport. I mean, even swimming. Yeah, I mean, you just don't know, right? Baseball, you don't. It may not be a common thing, right? It could be divers, any kind, right? Horse maneuvering, racing, whatever. Horsey vaulting. I didn't even know about horse vaulting until I met a horse vaulter on what formerly was called Twitter. Chelsea. She's also a hockey fan. Yeah, I'm like, you crazy. That's some crazy. And well, she found out the hard way because yeah, she fell and got really hurt. But um, anything, even just doing yard work, or yeah, I mean, it could be just everyday activities. You know, Suddenly smack your head on something, you start feeling. So these are things that you should be more aware of. But giving anybody alcohol to help them sleep, okay, well, you're damaging their future, especially if they're children. Right there, you need to understand that. Okay. Also, it is an old wives' tale because there's plenty of evidence, plenty of evidence. Whether you believe in science or not, some of it is actual truth. You want the truth, but when you raise your fists and start raising pitchforks and start, gathering in large groups to protest, and it's just like, well, you keep getting the truth and you keep denying the truth because you want to be right, or you were thinking the whole time that this is how stuff is, and it isn't. And when somebody takes the time to tell you alcohol does not help you sleep, alcohol is also a depressant and is certainly not meant for children. Right. Because they may fall asleep quickly, but they'll wake back up because of the sleep phases. There's alpha sleep, beta sleep, right? Okay. It's been tested over time in like almost every country, right? The people who test the stuff, the people who read about it, the people who keep up on certain things, absolutely. That's what you call a myth. The myths are going back to myth. Okay? It's an old wives' tale. It does not help or work. And you're damaging the future of your children. Don't pay attention to certain over the counter things that might have yep, some alcohol in it. Right. Make sure you have a cabinet where they can't get into it or it's locked up. Never, ever, 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 ever give children any kind of alcohol. Not in cold medicine, not in flu. Right. Don't give them frangelica shots. Yeah. I mean, I learned how to do shots when I was like 4 years old. Little shot glass. Frangelica. I mean, it is a little. rough, but it can be smooth. It's a little sugary, sweet, big old. The kids say, "How can I need a go sheet now?" Not okay, man. I'm not trying to say this to make people feel guilty. Well, now you know. And yeah, if you're trying to drink alcohol so you can fall asleep, yeah, adults and others, yes, you guys too. You might fall asleep quickly, but you will wake back up and definitely damaging one of your sleep phases. Okay? And alcohol is a depressant. So if you're taking like an opioid or some other right actual prescribed medication that is also known as a depressant and alcohol, right? You could actually overdose if you're not careful. And I know it is one thing that people in the ice hockey community are more aware of and more alert to and more understanding of kind of intervening, making sure that if they're on a certain type of pain med or they're tend to, drink something every day. I'm not saying alcoholic, but just daily have like a beer or wine or something. You got to be the asshole that takes that wine glass away. You got to be the asshole that says, no, man, you got to go sleep at somebody else's house. Like, so, right. So you understand? I know. There's been a couple few in the National Hockey League. And then, add in possible post concussive situations and other damages that may not be seen in certain scans, which probably, yeah, or neurochemicals, something changing the neurochemicals in ways that most people walking around the planet don't understand. They don't even know what happens, some of them. Learn to be an asshole when you really care. I get called all kinds of names. Some people will hate on me. Some people will try to cause me harm. Some people will try and drag me down. Some people will, tell other people that I'm just this horrible monster. And okay, I sure am. You love somebody, you're going to keep trying, no matter what. When they'll start to get pissed off at you, they'll like not talk to you, and then they'll tell all their friends, that one's just got issues, and that one's crazy, and blah, blah, blah. I don't give a fuck. But I'm asking for help in Cecil County, Maryland, 21921. A lot of it, especially uh, Upper Bay Counseling and Support Services. Their Sunrise program for sure. But I have to leave here. So I am, yes, expecting to leave here very soon. My ride out, because I'm going to have to sue somebody who works for Upper Bay Counseling and Support Services for malpractice. And I'll do it right out loud. You can threaten me. You can make my life horribly difficult. You can kill me. You can try and kill me. And just like, I'm still going to do it anyway. Yeah, just malpractice. And it needs to stop. Like right now. And any of you who know an autistic or love an autistic, jump in and help me out. Because they're definitely not understanding anything about autism other than stupid shit they saw in a movie. Okay, these are educational things. You understand? Yeah, critical thinking, that's okay. Um, Academic people do tend to try and, not really worry about the politics of everything, unless you're poli sci, and share information for the good of everyone to help understand certain things on Earth. And eventually that information is tested and it's tested and it's peer reviewed and then it makes it out to the public. And then it makes it down to every level. Now there's some great, like I said, there's some islands out there where there's very little, no, they don't have internet or phones. Well, they're allowed to be like that. You can't force internet and phones on people. People in the United States, right? I mean, Amish. Only a few, if they're really Amish, only a few will, you know, deal with the outside world. And yeah, but that's another reason why Amish and Mennonites tend to live close to each other, because Mennonites are a little more used to. And so, yes, they might talk to the Mennonites, and the Mennonites who do kind of go a little more into the world, and you know what I'm saying. Okay. And people who do live off the grid, off the electrical grid, that kind of thing. They're allowed to do that. Okay? But yeah, I will say this, and I will keep saying it, and at some point, somebody will actually pay attention to me, and I will not be ignored anymore, which has become so abusive at this point. I refuse to stay. I don't, I'm not required to help anybody. And there are a few coming at me with, my angel, you're my angel. No, I'm not your angel. Maybe somebody's, I might be this guy, right? But God uses demons too. But the difference between angel and demon and human, there's no blurred lines there, by the way. No, that definitely is pretty cut and dry. Like some people, look at me and say, "You're my hero," and I'm like, "Well, your hero needs some help." And some are getting all out trying to give me advice. I'm like, "Oh well, now I know why. Do you think I'm a robot? Oh, you want me to calm down? If I get any commerce, and people are gonna think I'm a robot or dead on the inside. You think God fearing? Listen, fearing may not be the proper word. I do not fear God, because God's not doing anything malicious or right to me. That's not God. All right, but you do respect those who are wiser than you, who do have control over their own selves to say, all right, well, I know how I react. Maybe I'm just gonna give me like 10 minutes. Let me just take a walk around the building and breathe it out or something. Anger is not natural to human beings, believe it or not. But I understand the need to vent. It's okay to vent. It's okay to process emotions. It's okay to talk about it. It's okay to yell about it. It's okay to, Like you can run it out, like jog it out, whatever. You can talk it out. Some people might, get into boxing or some other kind of thing. There are healthy ways to do that. Some people write songs. Some people uh, write. There are ways. There are healthy ways to do that. Yeah. Well, I'm not. I don't have to tolerate abuse. That is what's been happening to me, and it's unacceptable. And ignoring me, state of Maryland, is becoming quite an issue. I'm already prepared to leave. And someone had a chance to be with me and get married to me, but he chose differently. So I moved on. Someone else has a chance now. All right? That's the other thing is I know there's pressure. I get it. I don't wear a lot of makeup. One, can't look forward to two. I don't give a shit anymore. Okay, right. Like, I mean, people be like, "How do you have time to do that?" Well, I'm like, I don't spend all my time and money on that crap. Not that I can't. I mean, this is true. There's some things I know. It's just like, my badass reputation is getting dinged and dented all over the freaking place. In some cases, like, I'm so uber girly about a couple of few. I know badassery, but my heart is always filled with good and love, right? And so I don't worry about certain things that other people do. And like I said, it's like, well, that's okay. That's okay, Jesus. I call him Zussie. That's like the hockey love name for him. All right, like, it's okay. I will slow down and help them turn around a little and help them get used to the light slowly but surely. Once they get to a certain point, it's like, hey, here you go. More friends for you, Jesus. Right. Well, I mean, I get falsely accused all the time. Sometimes in front of my face, sometimes behind my back. I don't really care because it's not true. Okay? So someone may tell a falsehood, which sometimes is considered a lie, but it doesn't mean it's purposefully deceptive. And I can't help. I know I'm 53. I can't help the way my face looks. I can't help the way I got the Mona Lisa, but she was because this is how I was born. Mine, some of us have right edges and corners of our mouths that go down, and I'm tired of people saying, "Oh, come on, turn that frown upside down." Get away from me and never come near me again, and stay away from children. I was born like this. People's, you want me to get plastic surgery to make you feel more comfortable? Fuck you. Right. This is what I'm saying. Some of us were born in certain colors. Some of us were born certain things. This is one. I'm like, I'm perfectly okay, man. Well, then why are you frowning? I'm like, because this is my face. Back off of me. And quit telling me to calm down, man. All because you're afraid. You should be. A lot of your constructs and illusions, and, uneducated stupidity and, right, no. I'm like, yeah, young blood, you're getting wrangled because I give a shit, dude. And yeah, well, he can't trust everybody around. Right. Nobody needs to be a part of the 27 Club. That doesn't freaking make you immortal. That doesn't freaking make you awesome. You understand? And those of you who are pretending to be celebrities and talking to me, well, yeah, well, you're getting. You're going to have a horrible surprise. Because you need it. So yeah, I'm an asshole from way back. Bitch, see, blah, 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 blah. Don't care. Don't care. Of course, it hurts me. But on the other hand, I'm tired of watching you assholes like destroy yourselves, and people are all praising that shit like a bunch of freaking idiots. Children in this world are not going to see you well anymore. They will not be influenced by any of you anymore. People can tell a lie without being deceptive. Okay? We all need to understand these things. No, I'm not a robot. I don't need to calm down. You calm down. Well, this is the other thing is like, okay, well, some of you are talking to yourselves and it's just like bouncing off of me because it's called projecting other kind of things. Like you're projecting your negative shit onto me. And yeah, I'm not going to tolerate that for very long anymore. And sometimes I'll try and listen and help you out. Like, are you sure? You're talking about yourself. You're not talking about me. Well, you're talking to me. You're talking at me, but these aren't my characteristics, so they must be yours. There's also something called transference. So projecting, when you're talking about spiritual, I'm not talking about spiritual. And I am making a distinction, although it all is all included in the whole person package. However, I am putting a little bit of a distinction there because, right, projection, according to human behavior and psychologists, know that. Right? It's just you, okay, putting your air quote negative attributes on someone else. So let's all make sure that some distinctions are understood better and people stop calling everybody liars because so are you. So are you. In my life, like I've been proved wrong before and like, oh, thank you. I mean, right. Walking around stupid about that. I didn't know. Oh shit. Like epiphany. But thank you for abusing me and raping and torturing me and lying to me and stealing from me and treating me like I fucking just popped out of somebody's womb and rolled off the turnip truck. Anybody who pretends to try and be me, holy moly, I warned you. I warned you. You let me be me. Learn who you are. Learn who you are. Take the time to learn who you are. Introspective, yes. I mean, you might find out some ugly stuff, but on the other hand, it's like, oh, well, this is why there is something I can do about it. teach the children of this world, no matter where they are, to understand themselves very well. Okay? Right. So this is all educational. And there's examples. And you can cut it and edit it, but don't change the meaning, is what I'm trying to say. So I am qualified as a trainer and educator, and I am also qualified as a spiritual healer in the state of Maryland. Okay. I time tithe. I've been time tithing this whole time. So, right. So it's like volunteering, just a different kind of payment. And there are some morally bankrupt churches in the United States communities. So when it comes right down to it, when it comes to the state, and church and state, and like, well, I can help you out a little bit with that state because I am clergy, I mean, some of it isn't God's plan, some of it isn't appropriate, some of it is misinterpretation or just, oh well, we're just all the good things in Scripture are for us. So I understand why some people, are like, oh, they can prove that God's not living. Like, no, you can't. You can't. I got online. I was talking to a community for a little while over there, Emerald Dreamer style, and it's just like, well, they weren't ready for me, and they didn't want to listen, and they didn't want to hear it. So I could only just leave it online, and just at some point, maybe one of them, like, oh, ding, starts actually seeing it. Uh, right, but they're getting attacked, which is after a while, it's like, she's not right. All right, well, never mind. But it's online. It's still there. Okay, my contribution is still there. So any who look now and have gained a different perspective, it's still there. But someone said, "Well, God lets us do whatever we want," and I'm like, "That's not God. No, it's not." When a parent, when someone who's watching over those still learning and growing youngsters and still right, yes, like becoming who they are, knowing certain things as truths, whole truths, nothing but the truth. That's not true. Someone that really cares about you is definitely not gonna let you do whatever you want to do, including harm others, harm yourself, harm innocents. So, yes, some have misinterpreted some things. But this is all educational. And like I said, those who, learn a little more slowly, anything that you see on YouTube, if you have it on a laptop, see, the mobile version doesn't seem like the mobile app, it doesn't seem to have it. Might be missing where it is, but if you have, the web, if you are using web based uh, application that is YouTube, there is a way in your little rotary dial, your settings, you understand, right? Sometimes you have to go into more options, sometimes you don't. Playback speed. So if you're maybe a little slower learning, that's okay, no big deal, because you can actually slow a video down. Okay, so you get a little more time to process. You can able to understand a little better. You can slow it down to suit your pace. At some point, however, you keep doing that, you will be able to play it at regular speed and understand it. And you understand? Okay? So if you're just little, no big deal. Right? So learning how to accelerate learning, you can actually do that. You just have to have the web based, and you can change it to, not regular speed. Right. You can make it go slower so that you can understand better or take notes or whatever. You understand? Um, Me, nowadays, I tend to speed up to either 1.5 or 2. Sometimes 2 is right, twice as fast. Sometimes that's a little, I may not be able to hear it all clearly, and I will have to go to one. But that took a little while to be able to do like across the board every video. Well, I don't do that with music videos or certain things, but I will do that. Yes, you can actually train your brain to accelerate learning. Even people with Down syndrome or certain things, right? It's how they're taught and their perception. So you do have to know about these things, uh, but slowly but surely. And if you're an adult and you don't know how to read, you can learn. You sure can. People have learning styles that are different, and so understanding that, it doesn't mean they can't learn. It means they can't learn from you because you don't know how to present according to how they learn. So all of the senses, touch, taste, smell, right, all of it is best, even for non-sighted kids or um, hearing impaired. I mean, you're gonna get it to them a different way. But yeah, so when educating a child, you want as much like well-rounded stimulus to help explain. So even slow learners can still learn. Maybe not the pace that you want. They can, and you actually can train your brain at some point. Like you could go a year and you have to slow every video down or everything. Right. That's okay. 2 years, that's okay. But every so often, just try it at regular speed. Every so often, just try it at regular speed, and you'll start to understand. Okay, well, I understand this. I grasp that. I get that. You'll start to notice that it will start coming easier. You may not get to double speed. Okay, you may not get there. That's okay. But if you can train your brain to do it regular speed, even. So yeah, I mean, I would, yes, do those kind of things double time. Okay, but some things I learned, no, okay, I can't do double time. Right, I have to do 1.5, or sometimes if it's like really complicated, I do it regular speed. Um, so I can, process it, absorb it, and that kind of thing. So every human being can technically become an accelerated learner, meaning learning faster than they did before. Not an outside standard, okay, but a standard according to each human. So there might be some challenges to that, like they don't have internet or that, right? Some are afraid of certain things, so you have to be patient and take a little time. You can learn to be more patient with yourself and others. It's like a discipline. If you want to look at it that way, not discipline like you're punished. And you can do that like day by day, and you're probably not going to hit the mark for a little while, but be aware of that. And sometimes it's like, oh, okay, I get it. If I'd have waited a day, this would have happened, and I didn't need to get all upset the way I did. It's okay to get upset. It's okay. Look, men cry, females cry, humans cry. Humans have emotions. Humans, um, react to certain things in very different ways. And we want to not experience expectation bias, which is why I set up a research paradigm in the animal behavior fields when I was in doing a double bachelor's. So, my advisor said I was already working PhD level, you understand? All right. Well, you know, I set that research paradigm specifically to avoid expectation bias. Right. Specifically. Okay. So I'm also a scientist. And there's always going to be an unknown. Always. That is always going to be a case. That is it. And so that's why I'm saying some of these paranormalists are definitely not as aware of how human perception happens or how, cameras still and moving cameras work, which you do have to understand. How certain illnesses can come across a certain way because you refuse to try and search for other perspectives. And you've convinced yourselves of stupid things that are actually causing harm to people at this point. So I am speaking up. So now I'm going to have to ask for a heavenly assist to make sure that what I'm saying is seen and heard because I was the one who should not have been ignored. And I warned you. I'm not going to change my face and get plastic surgery so you can feel more comfortable in your ignorance and unawareness of the fact that I was born this way. And some of you say, oh, your face, you look so young, right? But I get scars on the inside and the outside. Look at that age spots happening, getting a little creepy. It's not my fault that you guys perceive me the way you do. Some of you are just going to want to stay in denial. You're going to say I'm spreading lies or, blah, 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 blah. Pat me on the head. I mean, I learned in my early 20s, I'm like, oh, y'all think I'm a fucking idiot. And you're so much better than I am. And you need to teach me crap I already know. I didn't do anything to any of you. You've been doing it to yourselves the entire time. And no, I am not going to continue conversation with anyone online claiming that, I'm your fiance or some other bullshit. Okay, if you can't be with me now, in my now, okay, physically, then just please leave me alone. It's wrong, it's abusive, and I don't appreciate it. I don't. Okay, I make sure to heal from some things before I even think about opening myself up emotionally to go into another relationship, because that's the right thing to do for me and for the person that I right. And there's one musician, I blocked that musician. Like, I was willing to talk, go through a difficult divorce. Like, okay, well, feel free. You can talk to me, you can vent, whatever. I get it. That's difficult. There's children. He's in the public eye trying to, keep the children. I get it. But he's not even all the way through that. And his divorce has not been right put out in the public. I'm like, no, man. You are going to take the time to heal. You are going to make sure you don't use your children against each other. That's what a lot of you do. That's truth and reality. To tell me that reality doesn't exist is unacceptable. I'm very real. Whether you think I exist or not makes no freaking difference to the fact that I do. So I'm finished. You all now experience what it's like to lose God. And if you didn't believe before, sadly, you will have to learn truth and reality the hard way. And there are always consequences, whether you see them or not. Always. The truth never changes. No matter how many times you want to run into that wall, no matter how many times you want to smack your head into that wall, no matter how many times you cannot take no for an answer, and then you're just blind and spinning wheels, and I'm not going to let you drag children into it anymore. So you feel about me the way you feel about me, but a lot of it probably isn't based on any kind of reality. And when one musician, fake account, tried to contact me, it's like, oh, well, what about this, this, and this? Kept trying to avoid the topic, and it's like, yes, but that musician would know exactly what I'm talking about. So some of you decided to fake a celebrity account of someone I actually know. And I know that you aren't that person. So stop doing that. And if it's AI or some kind of, who knows, get on that. Yeah. Well, Youngblood's about ready to have some assistance that he didn't think he needed. Yeah, you're not surrounded by a lot of friendlies in some cases, dude. And I don't give a shit. Steven Tyler is going down. So save your brand. Joe Perry, with all you guys. What is not permitted in mine. And neither are some others. I don't do anything intentionally to hurt. There's different kinds of hurt too. Well, some of you make deals and your time is up, and that's not me who does that, but I can at least relay that message. But I am not to be used as medium, and I am not to be experimented on, and I am not just some young dummy. Okay, I keep trying to tell people that. It's like, okay, well, just close your eyes and don't look at me and listen to my words. It's not my fault. I was born this way. I am not going to get plastic surgery and can be smiling all the effing time for your comfort. Right. So I do want lawyers when I need to be out of this situation because they will try stupid crap because they're not going to understand until it all gets settled in certain courts. But I need to sue someone at Upper Bay Counseling and Support Services for malpractice for the sake of autistics, of schizophrenics, of people who had absentee parents, for the sake of the clients, and quite literally the staff. I definitely have so much evidence, it's insane. And I can't let this person continue to practice. Don't worry, lawyers. You can just tack your fees and whatever. Right. I got a lot of civil suits. And that's what I'm saying is we might start out pro bono, but right. Essentially, I only want one flat number out of that. And so whatever you guys need to add to it in order to get paid, and you know what I'm saying. Go ahead. So in a lot of cat, right, I want to end up with a flat fee of $1,000,000 from passing my pats from Dr. Burke from quite a few places. Don't make me do that. The United States Army. Don't make me. I mean, my parents quite literally tortured me when I was young. And by torture, I mean the Geneva Convention version of torture. So, yeah, we're going to use that for good, but I don't want some of this to happen to anyone else. Anyone. Even some of the people who did it to me is like, well, yeah, some of you didn't know what you were doing. But everybody on this planet is capable of classing it up just a little. You are capable of every day taking a deep breath and being like, okay, well, maybe you're not ready to discuss that. Like, we'll pick it up next week. You can't speak certain things into me and expect them to hold. I know who I am very well. I understand in some cases, say, oh, well, I probably should have not done that. I did, it happened, but it wasn't like horribly damaging, but there's probably a little bit of it. I've been wrong in my life. I've made mistakes. I'm not a robot. I mean, yeah, there's some just bound and determined, like, you need to calm down. And I'm like, no, it's you. You're talking about yourself and you're putting those attributes on me. And sometimes, no, I don't need to calm down because I need to be seen and I need to be heard so that the good stuff can happen on earth. So now, all angels, let's get me heard immediately. Because I know way better than 99.9% of the human population. Right? God is difficult to understand right out the gate. Some were built a certain way. So, right. I don't need to go get yelled at in church by anyone who has not, right, taken a good look at your own selves. And I've heard some preachers and teachers and pastors and clergy say some absolutely false statements. Check yourselves before you wreck yourselves. That's a good song. It's good advice. But if you wreck yourself, you might be wrecking your own family. You might be, wrecking a future opportunity that you don't know anything about. And that is kind of how things are. And people's understanding of hypocrisy does need to be given in a more proper light. And people can say, I'm manipulative. And it's just like, no, you just don't understand yet. So I'm not in that one system. I don't fit in that one system. And some of you are actually, right, blaming that one for something that one didn't even do. Maybe that one has it coming, false accusations on it. But any false accusations come to me, like, just refrain from thinking about me or speaking about me or any of that kind of thing. Because what you think and believe is probably not close to the reality of me. And if you're the one buying all my stuff and I'm living in your house, and like, I'll wear makeup if it makes you happy there. But I'm not married. And so those who might be talking to me online, and I've cut back on that, it's like, especially you, the wealthy kind. It's like, nah, you can freaking get in your private jet and like take a day and come here and talk to me. You can send me some flowers. Send a card. I mean, you quite literally could hire someone and pay someone to come and help me. So leave me alone. Really. I'm not married to anyone. Until there's a ring on my finger, I'm not engaged to anyone either. You have to understand this reality. And now I'm going to have to stop talking to another one because I'm like, well, yeah, but you're engaged and I'm not interested. Yeah, square all that away. I might not be around. You're single. But I came here because I was promised marriage. I was promised a husband, and that didn't happen. So I'm leaving. And, right, I don't even care if you're a mega billionaire. If you're male who doesn't earn enough, okay, because I don't believe in two people working in any particular household, especially if there's children. You understand? So I know that some people, right, my age, it's likely they have, a child or children. Of course, that makes sense to me. I mean, I love kids, right? And that's fine. But yeah, I mean, unless a miracle actually happens, I can't physically or naturally, produce a child anymore. Maybe adoption. I might likely, go through, foster system and, find one who's older because they get overlooked in that, what I'm saying. So I'm not lying to you with makeup. I'm not lying to you with my natural born face. And now I have stopped time tithing, and you have to pay me money now to do certain things. Some of you are trying to maneuver me in a psychological fashion, which is now starting to blow up in your own faces. And the vast majority of humankind do actually have a conscience and a subconscious. And no one else may know that you murdered somebody, but you know. Angels, okay? Stop anthropomorphizing angels. You understand? I mean, you can tell, yeah, you can say to somebody, oh, such an angel, like they're sweet about it and they're caring and they, understand. That's not the same as a being called an angel. So, some of you are not, because I'm not your angel. And yeah, well, I let Gabriel know, that Michael knows, both like, yeah, I'm finished and I'm ready to leave, and I'm not gonna stay here. And if you don't come and get me, then I know you're having an issue, and I should send you help, which is what I'm doing. Certain protocol. The little children of this world are not going through another freaking cycle of abuse. They are not going to be right because some of you are trying to say it works. But later on down the road, like, oh, fuck, it didn't work. But most of you are dead, and most of you are doing something else and not looking behind, blah, blah, blah. So you don't really know the outcome. Okay. And yeah, I'll speak up right out loud. Somebody I know is in the public eye, and you guys are like trashing this person. Like, have you even met this person? And have you spent any time around? No, you haven't. So I don't give a fuck who you are. None of you are gods to me. And I'm owed so much. Now I've canceled some debts because you've done that for other people, but the rest of it is now coming to a full stop because I just refuse to let you go any further into debt. So quit fucking with me. Quit acting like you're above my head and you're my boss, because you aren't. And until I am actually married in reality or get a ring on my finger, I'm not anybody's freaking fiance. And yes, you are going to lose me to another man, because I'm not going to wait for any of you to figure shit out. And if your ego got bruised, tough shit. I am not meant to be handling money. I am not going to help you launder money. I'm not going to help you, right, do any of it. Okay, you're trying to butter me up like, oh, you're so pretty. Okay, then why the fuck are you trying to get me to do something that is absolutely 100% wrong? in the eyes of many, actually. Consequences. There does come a time where the right thing to do is just let them fall and go boom. And it hurts and it's scary, and sometimes they just don't fucking survive it. Nobody really wants that. Nobody does. A lot of you going hurt feelings. I was just trying to help. And You do have to zip it because I know you can. It's sad. I've had to do that before. You just let someone go, like, this one's probably not going to survive it. But I don't totally close the door. Possibility's still there, but the possibility reduces every single day and likely will perish. And that sucks. But some of you just feel like pushing it all the freaking way, and you just refuse, and you won't listen, and you're just sure, and you're just, yep. And then, right toward the end, you find out, oh, fuck. And by then, yeah, it is too. It is a kind of pain that many of you don't understand, but I do. And when you just do your best to say, wait, just stop and look at it this way. Wait, wait, wait. Okay, but no, all right, but no, wait, wait, wait. Some of you are worshiping falsehoods. So, best I can do for that one as well. I mean, I'd rather worship no one than worship the wrong one, and I don't idolize, and I don't worship in that way, and I don't need to, and no, I can't go into that system. I can't ever and never will be able to. It doesn't work because, well, that one understands now what happens when he does that. He tried. And now it's causing him all sorts of effing issues, and I was just like, well, serves you right, man. I mean, you had to learn, and apparently you needed to learn the horrible, awful, terrifying, like, horror movie way in reality. That one won't be doing that again anytime soon. Don't anybody be, giving me crap about Jesus and whatever else. I'm like, well, I love Jesus, the one who was known as Jesus on earth. We love one another. I love him. And he's family. And I have my priorities properly. And there are males who would rather that their wife not work outside the home because one parent should always be available. Because that's what works. And that's what's best. And that's what right. Yep. You can rag on my stuff. You can try and tell me, oh, it's no use. You only have like one follower or this many views. I'm like, yeah, right now. But not for long. So I'm open to my funding. It's like a grant. It's not the name of a person. Okay, right. It's like a grant. Look that up. And if you're actually that interested in me and you'd like me to be your woman, then I suggest you just make sure, like, send me some flowers or a card or just show up at my door. Like, take a fucking day off. No, I don't. I don't have to wait. No, I don't. I don't have to put up with this crap. No, I won't have a long distance relationship in the human way. And when it comes to Jesus, it's like, well, there's no distance in the spirit. When you get married, how could that be misunderstood? No, I don't need to earn money that way. Stop. Because you take one more step, and that'll be the end. I know that's not what you want. I don't understand how that is not understandable. I, I would like to get married. But those of you in relationships, I have to stop talking to you because I don't really want to, right, have anything to do with the fact that, you've got kids and this and that publicly announced. I'm not anybody's dirty little secret. I'm not somebody's side piece. I'm not any of that. So no, I'm not in a loving, committed relationship with any human. And that's not my fault. Okay? You can't put yourself and your needs ahead of mine and expect me to be like submissive one if we're not married to each other. I don't want to have anything to do anymore. Right? You get out of the relationship you're in fully, heal, and then get back to me. I might still be here. But I've asked to leave. I have that right. So I'm done with that. All that planning, all that writing. Gone for now. I'm not going to marry that one at all. Making me wait was stupid. And pretending like I'm less than, or seeing me as, stupid. A lot of you people are worshiping people. Oh, that's so brilliant and genius. No, it isn't. No, it isn't. I'm tired of being falsely accused. And any who put pressure on me at this point, and any who test me at this point, well, I know you're the enemy, and you will find out that you can be uncreated very quickly. Where did God come from? It's none of your business.